It's my distinct pleasure to be able to introduce Dr. Ray Arsenault, who is the author of, among other books, The Sound of Freedom, Marian Anderson, The Lincoln Memorial, and The Concert That Awakened America, and of course, The Crucible of Liberty, 200 Years of the Bill of Rights, and the book about the Freedom Rides, which we'll be speaking about tonight. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Arsenault.
Well, good evening. It's really a great pleasure to be back. The 50th anniversary of the Freedom Rides is just an extraordinary opportunity for all of us to think back to one of the extraordinary moments in American history. It's an empowering story, really an amazing story. You know, I've been working on this for almost, I guess, 12, 13 years now. It's sort of taken over my life in a good way. My daughters always say, you know, Dad, when are you going to get off the bus? And I keep saying, I'm riding this bus all the way to the Oprah show. I think so often we tend to think of the civil rights movement as a movement led by charismatic leaders, great men in suits and ties, who sort of told people what they needed to do to change America, change the world. And if there's, I think, an essential element of the Freedom Rider story, it's that there were thousands of great lives that contributed to the civil rights movement, that it was truly a grassroots struggle. There were leaders, certainly, but it's the essential power of the courage and commitment of those foot soldiers of the movement that I think, for the most part, represents the great lives of the civil rights struggle. We certainly couldn't have done it without people like Jim Farmer, but I think if Jim Farmer were here tonight, he'd be the first one to tell you that he was as much of a follower as a leader, that it was the bonding between the people who put their lives on the line during the Freedom Rides that gave them the power to do the incredible things that they did to change all of our lives. You know, when I lecture on the Freedom Rides, I sometimes get very emotional. It's been an incredible privilege for me to get close to them, to try to tell their story. There's a truth-telling power to their lives. You know, they're not all saints, they're flesh and blood human beings. They didn't always make the right decisions, but I think they were definitely the right people in the right place at the right time, and their lives demonstrate the power of contingency, of contingent events, that history is not just made by impersonal social forces. I think we all kind of shrug our shoulders from time to time and say, what can I do? What can we do? It's out of my control. And yet I think if you look carefully at the past, you see examples, episodes like the Freedom Rides, where individuals who had no right to think, really, no expectation that they could win, that they could change things. These 436 mostly young kids, very little money backing them, almost no institutional support. Most of their elders telling them they were crazy. You're going to get yourself killed. You're going to set the movement back. Can't you be more patient? Can't you wait? Do you really have to have freedom now? And they, of course, answered yes. I'm honored to present to you four of the greatest lives I know, the Freedom Riders. This is Charles Person, one of the first people that I interviewed for my book. He was the youngest of the original Freedom Riders.
I don't know what my expectations were. We knew that the situations presented a chance for violence, but being so young, I would not think that an adult would beat up on a kid. You know, also in those days in Southern chivalry, you didn't fight women, and you know, or anyone that you could obviously beat. And I could understand the violence and the intensity that these people exhibited.
This is Reverend Reginald Green from nearby Washington, who was a student
protester, I guess I can say, at Virginia Union in Richmond, and was on the June 7th Freedom Ride.
The very essence of who you are embodied in the nonviolent effort. And much of it, I'm sure, is a combination of the Gandhian understanding of nonviolence, who coined it, by the way. And again, back to the need for me to be active, honest, and moral and ethical in what I was preparing as a career.
Our third Freedom Rider is Joan Trumpauer Mulholland, who is also from nearby Washington, D.C. And Joan has become one of the, I think I can say, the Earth Mothers of the Freedom Rider alumni. And
I became essentially isolated and cut off from the white community. A little contact with my parents over the years, but mainly it was trying to create a moment to change my mind. But you lose one family, you get another.
this is Catherine Burks Brooks.
Fear of getting beat up, a fear of getting killed. And we felt that when we could talk to them about fear and getting rid of that fear, then that we could get more people. And once you say, well, all right, if I die, I die. And once you're not afraid of dying, and then what else? You can go into Mississippi, Alabama.
I have to tell you, I was, well, one of the revelations in doing the Freedom Rider book was how little the Freedom Riders knew about the Freedom Rides. They knew about what they experienced, and many of them could remember every detail. It's been fascinating for me to get close to them in that sense, to see them learn about themselves.
Was my basic understanding as a Southerner of the religious tradition I was brought up in, Christianity at its best, and the Declaration of Independence. We said all this, but we didn't do it. And I felt that when the chance came, I should do what I could to make the South the best that it could be.
One of the things the
for
Freedom
all
Ride was trying to do was to really stir things up and get people to take some risks. But it was public opinion polls show that most people, although they supported the goals of the Freedom Riders, they didn't support the tactics.
I think that I felt, and that a number of us felt, that if we could show the situation, if we could expose it, and then things would change. That maybe some people didn't know exactly what they were doing and how we felt about it. And maybe this would encourage other blacks and whites to participate, to say something. Because as far as I could remember, not just the Freedom Ride, that I felt that something was wrong. And as I got older, of course, I knew that something was wrong. And at that point, I thought the world should know that something was wrong.